All right, welcome back to another video of the horse trailer conversion. In today's video, we're finally putting the floor down. So this is quite exciting. I've been waiting to put this floor down for a long time. So the flooring is finally done. We're just cutting and measuring the plywood so it fits. We've gone for 18mm ply. I was going to get the, I think it's buffalo board flooring, but it was so expensive. So I'm going to try this. It might backfire. I'm hoping it's going to last at least 2 years minimum. So the plan is we're going to cut it to shape, make it fit, take it back out, but then we're going to prime it all with some PVA glue, some watered down PVA glue, and then I'm going to use some Hammerite underbody paint on the entire underside, including the frame. So that's the plan. So we're just going to get this cut down. So there's a lot of in and out at this stage just to make sure it fits properly. And we want to be happy. I'm making space at the sides so that we can still access the bolts for the leaf springs if we need to, if we ever need to change them. So there we go, last bit in. I'm just marking a few final bits and lining it up just to make sure I know how they're going to go back in again. So I'm quite happy with that. It's pretty solid. And the good news is I don't hit my head on the ceiling. So that's one of the reasons why we've got this trailer up 6'2". So it needs to have a nice headroom. So here we go. PVA glue, water down, get all the sides sealed up. That should help it reduce the water intake. And then we go ahead and paint it all with the Hammerite underbody seal. This stuff is sticky. They say it dries tacky, but it's yeah, sticky stuff. Right, today is an exciting day. The floor's nearly ready to go down, but there's a few bits we've got to do first. So we've already Hammerited the frame with the rust protector. Now we're going to go over it with some underbody seal, just to give it an extra layer of protection. We've already underbody sealed all the floorboards, but I'm going to go over it again with that. And then we need to put on the back gate door. And for that, actually to sand it down a bit, drill some holes, because we're going to bolt it together, and then a few other bits, and then we're pretty much ready to put the floorboards in. So let's get back, get set up, and we'll get going. So yeah, as I just said, we're just going to go over the rest of the frame with some of this Hammerite underbody seal, just to make sure it's as watertight as possible. So this stuff is supposed to just repel water. So that's the plan. We don't want this to be any more rusty as it's already been. And then when that's done, it's time to put down our stick saw. And lucky me, I put it down backwards or upside down. So I had to take it off and flip it around, put it back in again. And then we're just sealing up all the bits. The middle bit's going to go in, and then I can get the last little bit in. And it should all go in perfectly. Nothing swelled, which is a good sign. So there you go, all in. And then there you go, yeah. Job done. We've got the boards on. We're just going to weigh it down a bit, but first we need to just try and anchor it. There's a few existing holes in the frame underneath, so what we're going to do is we're going to climb under, drill through, and then just put some bolts in. And if you just saw that gap there, we're going to I filled that with some more stick saw just to give it a little bit more structure and support. Not that it's going to do much, but it's going to be better than nothing. There we go. This is what I ended up with. 2 lovely plant pots. But it's in, it's down. Some of the bolts are tight, they're just temporary. Then when I've got a helper, I'll countersink them and screw it up properly. But that'll do for now. It's getting hot. Oh, beautiful mess. Amazing, we're making some wicked progress. So with that done, it's now time to get that back part in. So I'm just gonna put some stick saw at the bottom because there is a gap between the 2 pieces of metal where they meet. We've got some more stick saw or silicone, whatever you want to put down. It's going to create a barrier to stop any more water coming in. So that's down. Then we're going to put those bolts in we drilled earlier. And then it's time to start welding. So I'm stripping back some of that paint at the top, and I'm going to weld in top parts. And then hopefully that will be enough. But as you know, it's never enough. So I welded it as much as I could. Some of the gaps were too big. So I welded the bits that are really close, and then I just used some of that silicone stick saw again to fill the gaps. Just to make sure no water is getting in this trailer. I'm sure it will, but the more we can do now, the easier it'll be later on down the line. So let's finish off that welding, and then it's time to put the top hatch in. So we're just gonna put this hatch in now. This is the insert, and then I can clamp it in and then put the top bar in. I just need to trim it down a little bit because it's a little bit long. Grind the ends off. Then once we're happy, we can clamp that in. Get the welder out again, and then get it in. Now, by now, I am actually getting pretty good at welding. There, I measure up quite a lot of times just to make sure I'm happy with it. I put some spaces in as well between the frame just to make sure that it opens up properly. Because the top and bottom of the frame, so that top bar and the top of the frame at the bottom is actually part of the sort of hatch hole. So I'm just making sure there's enough space in between so that it will shut properly. So there we go, tacked it in. Pretty happy with that, or maybe not. Now I'm happy with it. We can take the inner frame out and then we can go back in and just weld it in properly to make sure it's really secure. So yeah, look, it's looking pretty good now. You can see it, can't you? There we go. How strong is it? There you go, 95 kilos strong. Decent. Guys, disaster. It rained. So today's plan of getting that floor done is not going to happen. So I think we'll get this done, shut up, so that can dry out. Disaster. Yes, it rained and it got everything wet. It wasn't supposed to rain. It's like the middle of the summer right now. But anyway, it rained. Bit of water. Luckily, it dried really quickly because it's hot. So as you can see, I have painted the metal. I've used HammerRite again just to protect it as much as possible. Pretty much the best stuff here in the UK that I can think of that's going to work on it. Right, time to weld. I forgot my jumper as usual. If you weld without anything covering your arms, what I do, I get like little burns all up my arms. So let's put the jumper on. Let's protect those arms. So we're just putting this back in again and clamping it in, and then we're gonna measure up those uprights and then whack them in. And we're just gonna tack them in as before. The left and the right one. And when we're happy with it, I'll remove the insert and then we'll weld it in properly. So there, out it comes. And then we'll get that welded in properly. And once that is in, we're ready to put the hinges on that frame, on the hinges on the back hatch, which is fun. Here we go, final bits of welding on the corners. And then that is done. So I've already sanded back some of the paint from the top. And then we're going to put this hatch in and then figure out a way to get to it. Guys, do not try this at home. This is super unsafe. To my sister watching, look away. Right, it's time to go get the rest of the floor done and the back boxed up. Let's go. This is what I've been looking forward to for a long time. I get to use my staple gun finally. So we'll get that out. Apologies for all the little cuts to my face. But I filmed this over many days and I wasn't actually sure how I was going to put it together. So yeah, but if you like them, you're welcome. At least it gives you a little update what's going on. So tidying up, we're getting rid of anything on the floor that's going to get in the way of laying this new layer. And I'm going to seal up all the sides with more of the silicone stick tool. Just to make sure if there is a leak or anything, it can't get out. And also nothing can get in. So that's that done. Quick whip round, get all the edges sealed up. And then for the fun part, we have some thermal wrap. So what this is going to do is it's going to help reflect heat and cold sort of come in and out of the trailer. So keep whatever's in and it'll keep out the heat. So we're just going to put this between and create a barrier essentially between that floor and then our top layer floor. So this is basically foil with air bubbles in, like bubble wrap. Super easy to use, and I got to use my little staple gun that I've been waiting to use forever. It just says to overlap it a little bit. So I tried to overlap where I could. Yeah, super easy, fun. Starting to look clean now. I've been waiting for this step for so long because the outside is pretty nasty, to be fair. And every time you come out, it is a little bit depressing when you don't see it progressing in a nice way. There's a lot of few steps back, one step forward so far. But this is positive. Floor's going in. It's nice, shiny, clean stuff. And then this is the plywood going in. So we've got 6mm plywood on top of the 18mm. And we're basically just fitting it like a puzzle. Yeah, puzzle? Yeah, I'll go with puzzle. So we're fitting it like a puzzle. So a few bits, you've got to trim it down, make sure it fits, and then put it in. I'm trying to do it so there's not too many joins. Obviously, there is a lot of joins. But because of the size, I have to try and stagger it so that most of the joins are sort of like under a unit, where not a lot of footfall is. So yeah, putting it in, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Some nice aerial shots of me cutting wood. It's always fun. And then just slot straight in. And then in the corner, here we go. Who's watched all those videos on YouTube showing you how to cut into a corner? Well, come in handy today. The last bit goes in, and then it's time to nail it all down. So these nails go straight through and into the 18mm ply on the other side. Just make sure if you are going to use nails to nail it down, that they are not too small and not too big. You don't want to go straight through. And then make sure they're actually in to the floor, because when you go put your liner or whatever flooring you want down afterwards, it's going to catch. Just make sure they'll tap down, and they will move as well. Cool, so that's the floor done. It's time to just touch up a bit of areas on that back hatch on the frame. And then we're going to go insert our leftover ply. So this ply is actually left over from the flooring. So this is 18mm going in. And again, it's pretty simple. Just cut it down, rectangle, put it in. We're going to use stick saw to sort of initially put it in, seal it, and then I'm going to drill through and rivet the rest of it, just to make sure it's nice and secure. I think on some of the uprights between the frame and the hatch, I'm going to bolt it in just so it's super secure, because also on the other side of that's going to be some framing. So yeah, the clamp just helps pull it all together, especially when you're drilling through. It likes to move. Then when you put the rivets in it, you want it to pull together. So yeah, bit of silicone up top, keep it watertight. Like I said, no water will enter this trailer anymore. Your fingers crossed. That is in. And again, I didn't show you this, but this has been PVA'd like 3 or 4 times just to make it as waterproof as possible. It's going to get bad by the wind, the rain, so it needs to be strong, waterproof, weatherproof. And then for the last bit of the puzzle, or actually not the last bit of the puzzle, but nearly the last bit of the puzzle, is to get this back frame back on again. You can see there where the Rice logo came off. Don't worry, we've saved those. They've been repainted and they're ready to go on right at the end. And then here I am just sealing those gaps I said earlier. So I've welded as much as possible, but there's quite a few gaps still. So I'm just going to put on some of that stick saw silicone around all the edges. Let's put that last little bit on. And this frame, I actually hadn't cleaned it. So let's give it a little clean. Look how dirty that is. That's so satisfying. That's fun. Yeah, good old scrub. I'll let you enjoy this bit. And here I come with a nice, fresh, clean piece of aluminium. And by the way, I trimmed that because the that was corroded at the bottom, so I trimmed it down to size because obviously it was much bigger before. So just going to silicone it in again, clamp it up, and then we can go ahead and put our rivets in. And there's a couple of bolts at the bottom that I'm going to put in as well, just to keep it nice and secure. It's looking good. I definitely underestimated how many rivets were on this trailer. If I had known before how much I'd be using that rivet gun, I probably would have got an electric one. And there's a few more holes to finish up, and then that is it with the back. Final job of the day, we're going to get this hatch done. I'm just going to touch up some more hammerite, and then we're going to let it dry. I've already pre-drilled the holes around the edges, and that's for our rivets. And then I'm going to seal it up with some more of our stick seal just to keep it watertight. Oh, that's satisfying, isn't it? It's like icing a cake. And we chuck the wood in. Here's the wood going in. So that was a tight fit. So if this swells, we're in trouble. So that's in, clamp it up, and then we can start popping those rivets in. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we are going to get inside this trailer and start getting some of the walls built up. So come back then, and I'll see you there. See you later.